Hey guys, welcome to the final part in the series. So what we're going to be doing today is we added a little bit of health there, so that's our 290, our slowly ticking down larger number. If you go from fire to water, it puts out the fire, and then if you enter the water and then enter the fire, if you stand still, there you go, the fire started ticking damage again. If you enter the fire and then if you leave the fire before the water ticks end, you don't take any damage. Actually, that wasn't a great test. Let me try again. So, fire, get our water ticks, leave, no damage. That's what we're going to be going over today. Probably going to be the final part in the series, as I don't think there's much else to talk about in the basics for making damage over time and the fire spline and all that stuff. So, hope you enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, let's go ahead and we're going to reopen our third person character. So first, what we're going to have to do is, you know what, actually, let's go ahead and add something here. So to our DOT table, let's go ahead and open that up. So we've got our fire, poison, acid, and drenched. Underneath each area, we're going to add another category, and it's going to be weaknesses, or basically things that overpower other things. So for instance, we want water to cancel out fire, maybe acid as well. So if you go through water, you clear off acid, and if you go into water, you clear off fire. So we're going to basically want to create an additional set here for weaknesses, or things that overpower other things. So go to the struct. We got category, ticks, the damage. Is that an array? Let's see, what do we want to name it? Let's do something like greater. Enum. Enum over enum. It's a little confusing, but let's make it an array. That way you can have multiple if you so desire without having to make separate categories for it. And then in the DOT table, here we've got our enum over enum. We'll do water, so for fire, let's go ahead and add water. And I'm going to drag this out because there we go. Okay, so enum over enum, so water is over fire. For the others, I think we'll leave it alone. We want water to be the strongest, so that. And then in third person character, we're going to need to set up the same kind of system, but for water so that it stays on your character. So we need basically the same thing. So on fire counter doesn't really make sense in water because you're not you're not on water, you're in water counter. You could change it to in fire counter. Actually, I think I'm gonna do that. That way we can keep the same sort of consistency here in naming. So in fire, in water, and then we have on fire ticks remaining, so we want let's name it drenched ticks remaining. You could also say water ticks remaining if you want to keep with the naming consistency. Or you could go a step farther and do like drenched. That way it matches our data table. We'll do, so we got drenched right here. So we'll pull out, we'll copy this, get plus this, and then on fire counter, water counter again, set, oh, didn't mean to do that, go, greater than, branch. So we're following the same formula here, and then set timer. And then we could put the water here. We're going to need it for sure inside the function for the fire DOT, but we could put it here just to save on ticks so it doesn't go through extra steps when it's not needed. But if we do that, we're going to have to pull out the data table in this area. So we do that. Let's see. So we got fire trick DOT, the DOT table. Okay. Active. Let's go ahead and, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, great, it's not straight. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna pull this back actually to the next line. Okay, so now what we're gonna need is we're gonna need that same DOT enum. We're gonna make it an array as well. And this is gonna be our player's currently active DOTs. Active DOTs. Get. So then we will take the DOT category selection and let's see, at this. So this is for our fire. Let's go ahead and just pull this out right here. I'm gonna copy that and come back here. So we've got our DOT table. Now we could manually set this up so say it's like we currently have water active. We check for water directly and cancel it out. The difference is, the reason we're doing it this way is if you have later on you make changes to it, you want those changes to retroactively work without you having to go back and reset or change things in this area. If they retroactively work, it just makes it way easier for you in the long run. So we'll do this. There we go. Okay. We could also just pull these forward, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do a reroute there in a little bit to get all these lined up. So we'll pull from fire. So we'll go DOT fire, check. We want to pull out the enum over enum. And we're looking for equal. And we're gonna loop real quick. So we'll do a short loop. For each loop. Let's do that. Currently active. enum. Let's see, how do we want to do this? So we check if that's equal to that. So we'll come out here. We'll do another loop actually. Oh, you know what? We don't need that right there. We just need to loop again. So loop. We'll do it in this order. Yeah. Loop. Loop. And what we're looking for is the equals to these. So I'm actually gonna move these up. Pull these out. I'll do it this way instead. So equal, equal. And then since we should be able to do a local here, yeah, local variable. So we'll set this to a Boolean, and we'll just do found. Keep naming conventions the same. We'll do found enum over enum, and we need to change this to a single. It only has to tick once. If it finds any weakness, if it finds a weakness that overrides it, we just want to automatically set it. So I don't know why I grabbed a get node actually right there. I'm gonna need it down here, but I don't need it yet. So we'll do branch loop, and then if it finds an equal for these at any point, then true, that's it. And then when the first loop is completed, we'll have it do a branch. And if this is true, we don't want it to do anything, but if it's false, it'll continue. So DoD fire table, enum, array, and then it does an array of the currently active DOTs. Through here, found enum over enum, true. This, okay. And this will be set to default as false. Okay, and then it just continues on like normal. Okay. And then water doesn't have a weakness, so we don't technically have to set this up at all. But if you did have a weakness for water listed as well, then you would want to do this exact same setup, but you'd want to do it with the water row name instead of fire. Okay, so that should work. Next, need to do some more stuff here. So we need to set a timer for the water. Go ahead and pull this down. We have the timer for our fire set up. Keep these aligned as best we can. Okay, so compile save. Let's go ahead and do a do once. I don't think it's going to have any effect because of this, but you know what? Actually, don't even do that. Let's do currently active DOT get add drenched true. So if we're standing in water, it'll add one of these to here, which then when it goes through this, it should ping as true, and then it should not let us catch on fire. So we'll go ahead and test that out. So now we go stand in the water. Now if we go over here, we no longer catch on fire. So that's working. And then next what we're gonna do is we need to make it so if you go into the fire first and then go into the water, it cancels it out. Currently doesn't do that. But if we go and stand in the fire again, it won't reactivate because it added that enum. Okay, so we'll leave this as is for now. What we're gonna do next is move into the fire dot check. I think we're gonna want it in here because we're gonna want to cancel out on fire ticks remaining. Let's see, so we'll do remove timer. So on fire counter. It's going to be a pretty similar setup to what we had in here, I believe, because we're going to want to check for weaknesses. So let's go ahead and just copy all of that and see what we can use here. So we already have it pulling this right here. So we could use it. We're just going to need to check it on both true and false now, because if you're in fire, or we could leave this part as is and just add it at the beginning here. The only difference is since we are pulling this right here, we don't necessarily need to pull it again right here. It's kind of wasted. So we could probably connect these a little bit. So anyways, we'll do this. Let's go ahead and create a local variable. Do this. Just even it out. I'm just going to make a reroute for now. If I can spell it right. There we go. So we want this to go into the data table. Let's go ahead and let's promote this to a local variable as well. We'll call this the local fire DOT table. Okay. And then we will continue on like normal, looping through everything. If it ever hits found enum, goes to completed. Let's move this up here. Goes to completed. We have to do this get and if it's false, we will continue on like normal. Just gonna bring this over here. If it's true, however, we are going to want to do a couple things. We're going to want to remove the timer first off, because you can't be on fire if you're covered in water. And we also need to set on fire ticks to 0. No, wait, sorry. set delete false. Oh wait, sorry. False, true, true. Okay, so now if we stand in the fire and then go walk in the water, it should cancel it out. And then the last thing is, since we have the local fire table set at the beginning, we can put this right here, and we can actually just delete this and just connect directly. Slightly more performant. Okay. Go ahead and cancel out of there. We could also add a break to each of these so that if it does find this ever at any point, it just breaks this immediately. That way it doesn't waste time looping through stuff. That's a little bit of a performance save, but we don't have to add it in to test if it works. That could be something you guys do if you want to. Let's see, it's all good. We'll have to come back through and do some more stuff with this in a little bit. Damage. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and test it out. So this, and then there we go. So that put the fire out. And now since we're still covered in water, we cannot re-catch on fire. So now we need to go through another thing here. So assuming that fire overpowers something else, the other thing we would need to do is make sure to add fire to our enum list. So let's say maybe we only want it to happen once. So maybe we can have it occur here, because we already have the do once right here. So we'll do this, get, add fire, and then we'll just pull this out a little bit. Okay, so we'll add it here, we'll add fire here, and then for water, since we're not doing poison or acid, I'm just gonna temporarily remove these here. And instead we're gonna use them for the water. So we'll do water, water. And then let's see, we'll sequence 1 and 2. It's 1 and 2, so we'll follow the same setup here. Okay, and then when we're removing the enum, we can do it inside the fire DOT check like before. Remove timer. So we'll go back to the graph. Remove timer. It would be good to maybe have this integer so we don't have to loop through the currently active. But that's okay. So we'll just do a loop. equal to fire or there might be an easier way for this actually. So if we do, say, remove item, yeah, there we go. That'll be faster. So we'll do remove item, we'll remove fire, and then connect this here. There we go. Okay, so set timer, it only does it once, adds it, and then when we remove it later, it'll remove it from the currently active DOT. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing for water here. So we'll do currently active DOT, get, add water, and then we'll just copy and paste these here. And it's probably faster just to fix it at this point. Okay, so I'll just do remove item, water, oh gosh, there. Okay. Okay, so we've got add water, remove water, and then we need to do something similar to the run DOT check for water. So let's go ahead and make a custom event here. Run water DOT timer. Another custom event. Water DOT. There's not really, at least in this situation, there is no damage. So running this doesn't really make sense unless we also add in some sort of drowning potentially, but there is no damage for water, so having a water DOT damage doesn't directly help us, but water DOT damage to remove ticks. Okay, so we'll name it water DOT remove ticks instead because it's going to be doing the same thing. So drenched water ticks remaining, get subtract 1 set pull this back. Okay. We'll do another print string. This one, instead of saying take damage, it'll say water, remove water tick. Let's make this one, let's make it like a light blue. Okay, so we got that and that. Then we need to set timer by event. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy both of these. Okay, that's good. So then we'll tie this in. And then we need to make a new function. for the water DOT check. So this, we basically need the same function, but with just some changes. So what I might do is duplicate this. Water DOT check. Okay, and then to change this, we'll just do water instead. We'll name this our local drenched water DOT table. A lot longer now. Read through, run currently active DOT. So we don't have any enums over enums for our water. So it should just come up blank basically, which means it shouldn't loop at all. It should just skip it. However, since this array doesn't have anything in it, it may come back as an invalid. So we'll have to double check on that in a little bit. So then we're going to change out the text remaining. We need to set this to 0. We don't have any weaknesses for water, so it should never trigger this. But just in case, water. And then we have our in water counter, get, delete. We have our local drenched water table. Since we changed this over to a local variable, we only needed to change this. And now this one should also be correctly set up. We have our water ticks remaining. Let's control drag these down. And delete. And then in water ticks remaining. So we will plug this into here. This is just for our print, so this isn't 100% necessary. Let's make these a different shade of blue. Actually, let's make it darker. Let's make it like blue. Okay. And then this needs to be changed to water. And this is the fire DOT damage. So this one needs to actually be our new water DOT. DOT remove tick. Water doesn't have damage, so we don't need any extra information there. Looping, run water timer. Or ticks remaining. We did add the enum to the fire DOT check because we were considering about using this for multiple, but I think it's probably better if they're split. I think we actually had this primarily here in case they did do damage, because this is set to fire, and in the case of fire it does actually do damage, so having access to that could be useful for our data table we need later, which actually we could probably change this and we can make it the DOT struct. So DOT struct fire DOT struct. And then if we go into our fire DOT check, all we have to do is plug in that same local variable. Since we're already pulling it in the function, there's no reason to do it another time later. And then we can break this. we should be able to pull the damage directly from here. So let's go ahead and create another variable. This is going to be for our player health. So let's call it, let's just call it player health. Compile. Let's go ahead and set player health to like 300. And then what we'll do is we'll take the player health and we will subtract the DOT damage from it and then reset it right here. And instead of saying take damage, what we're gonna do is instead print our player health. Okay. So I believe, oh wait, we forgot this. Water DOT check. There we go. Remove. Okay. All right. So I believe that is everything. Let's go ahead and try it out. So we got our water. I run into the water. Oh wait, do I have it printing the ticks remaining? I don't remember. Okay, so it did work, but let's see, water DOT. Okay, yeah, so it should be printing the water ticks remaining and it didn't, which means something, it could be this right here because this array is not valid. Let's get in is valid. And do this. So if it is valid, it'll go there. If it's not valid, it'll go that way. Let's go ahead and let's actually do this in the fire DOT as well, because this might block us from taking damage if we don't. So here, is valid, true, not valid that way. Plug this in. We could potentially actually connect this all the way to this. But it should be good going right there. It's kind of pointless to check this branch though, since we know it's going to be false, so it's kind of just a very slight performance waste right there. Although the performance waste is negligible because it's just one node. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, we're still not ticking. Let's see if the fire one is working still. We might have missed something. Okay, yeah, so there's our health ticking down. And then, boom. Okay, so fire is working. We are taking damage, ticking down. If I go into water, ticks down. Oh, you know what? I know what we forgot. Right here. We never started the process in the first place. So true. Set timer. And this time it's for water. Okay. That should fix everything. Try again. We'll hit fire first. Okay, fire, water. So there we go. And we had 50 ticks of water, so it's going to take a while for that to run down. We should... I'm going to go ahead and wait it out, though. You can just speed up through this part. We need to make sure that once the water ticks finish, it removes the water enum so that we can take fire damage again. I probably should have set that to a smaller number. But okay. And there we go. So now we are taking fire damage again. So everything is now working properly. Oh wait, what was that? Oh, that was interesting. I was standing too close to the water in there in case you were wondering. It's technically hitting my collision. Why did it not restart the water ticks though when it finished? Because I ran into the fire, it started those, ran into the water, and it didn't fully reset. It ticked at 0 instead of 50. Oh, am I hitting a camera or something? Keeps resetting itself, right? There must be a component on the front of my body. Okay, so let me see. I'll look into why that occurred. Give me a second. Okay, so I figured it out. So right here inside the third person character under the DOT graph, right here, we did not have this node. So this is the immediate water DOT check. So what we were doing is we were setting the function timer, but it wasn't checking it immediately. It was checking it on a delay of 1 second. So we were activating it, there was a delay, and then it was checking it. So inside the DOT check right here, we have our in water counter, which just makes sure you are in water or not. And because it was delayed by a second, it was saying that we weren't in the water when it did the first check. And so the timer was not being, the ticks remaining was not being set to the max number. It was defaulting to 0 because that is what the default is. So it was defaulting to 0 and then it was immediately going through and removing the timer. So in order to fix that, all you have to do is take the water DOT check function and just pull it out and plug it in right there. And that fixes the issue. So that technically counted as this being in the water. Some sort of collision on the front of the character is hitting it. But go through here. There we go. I also changed the water drench down to 5 seconds so I could test it faster. But we do this. We run through the fire, nothing happens. It runs out. We run through the fire again. We run into the water, removes it again. And then if we're in the fire when the ticks remove, let's make sure it triggers. Nope, it didn't. It didn't trigger until we started moving. I would guess that's because we put this at the front right here, so it's not updating the in-fire counter. So what we might actually want to do... Oh, jeez. I am hitting a lot of wrong buttons right now. Is we might actually want to move this to after, so we make sure the counter updates first. That way it's keeping an accurate track of we're in fire or not. And then we run through this. So true, done, found enum, true, we do nothing, false, we set timer. Let's go ahead and just move all this down slightly. There. Double check again. Okay, water, now we're in fire, now we wait. Oh, you know what, because we're not moving, it's not going to check. Let's see, what's a good way to counter that? I mean, obviously if you move, it re-triggers, but if you're just standing still in fire, we still want it to activate. So the problem is this, because we're having the set timer occur after the DOT active trigger, so the count is being updated, but it's not setting the timer. You know, let's try something here. Let's go ahead and set timer. Fire check DOT. In fire. Remove. If it's false, if it's true, then it sets on fire text remaining to 0 and removes the timer. Fire DOT damage. What if we do something a little simpler here? What if we make it so it keeps ticking, but it won't do damage to you if you're in the fire, if like you're already drenched. So the fire ticks will still go, but then you just don't do, it just won't do any damage. So what we would want to do in that case is actually, I'm gonna remove this branch right here. A little bit of a redesign. We'll still do this because we still need to figure out if the weakness is there, but we no longer need to remove the timer. And then what if we move this over here? We do fire DOT damage. The ticks. Let's set the branch right here, right before it does the actual damage tick. And if the enum is found, let's see. Yeah, okay. So if it is found, then false, we just do the tick like normal. If it's true, then we set this back to 0. Let's see. And then we don't call it. Okay, let's go ahead and try that out. Here. Okay, there we go. So now if I leave the fire, hit water, it handles like normal. If I enter the fire and then I leave the fire, I do not take fire damage. If I enter the fire, let's try to leave like right at the end, I don't take damage. Okay, so that's all working. That at the end there was, I guess, a little bit more of a bug fix than anything, but now at least if you're on fire, puts it out. If you're wet when you enter the fire, then you don't take fire. If you stay in the fire, then it starts ticking. We got 200. Let's make sure the health is calculating right. 2, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. So yeah, everything looks good. A little bit of a longer video, but I wanted to go ahead and get this finished up. So I think that's enough information to make a similar system. You can make adjustments to it as you wish. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I'll hopefully see you next time.